Math 76, lesson 115, adding and subtracting mixed measures, multiplying by powers of 10. So let's start by adding and subtracting mixed measures. So when they say mixed measures, they're talking about different units and measurements. So for example, we've got this problem, 1 hour 40 minutes plus 1 hour 50 minutes. What's very important is having your unit multipliers memorized, which they should be in the back of your book. It's the front or the back. Oh wait, I don't think they're in the teacher's book. Maybe that's what it is. Hold on, let me get a student book. Aha, found one. All right, so it's going to be very, very dependent on your knowledge of the equivalence table at the very back of your textbook. All right. So knowing these, knowing how many ounces are in a pound, knowing how many inches are in a foot, how many minutes are in an hour, things like that. That is what is going to help you with these problems. All right, now let's do some examples. Ta-da! Okay, let's start with this first problem. This is an addition problem with hours and minutes. So this is going to be very similar to our mixed number addition and subtraction, right? And you'll see how in a second once we have to start converting. So 50 minutes plus 40 minutes, well, that's going to be 0. 5 plus 4, 9. 90 minutes, right? So I've got 90 minutes. 1 hour plus 1 hour is 2 hours. So the answer would be 2 hours and 90 minutes. But there's one problem with this. You wouldn't ever say 90 minutes because how many minutes are in an hour? That's right, there's 60. So if there's 60 minutes in an hour, that means there's an hour inside of these 90 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert. It's kind of like having an improper fraction over here, right? And that's how I can think of it. I can write, oh, hey, there's 90 minutes over actually 60 minutes in an hour, right? So what that does is that gives me, if I were to reduce, that gives me 1 hour and 30 over 60 minutes, right? So if I were to fix that, I would get, okay, 60 comes out, that's 1 whole 1, and then there's 30 out of 60 minutes in an hour. So what I do is I take this one, I add it over here, that gives me 3 hours, and then that 30 is what I'll keep, so it's 3 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, so that's where it's kind of like fractions, right? Once you figure out what the unit is that goes into the next value, you can kind of write it like that and you figure out how to get your whole out of it. Okay, the only thing is you don't write your final answer as a fraction. You write your final answer just like this. Okay, so that's how we add it. Now let's do the same thing but with subtraction, and we will use feet and inches. So let's start here. 5 inches minus 8 inches. That's that doesn't work. All right, so let's do some regrouping. Okay, so I've got 6 feet over here. I can borrow from the 6 feet. Let's rewrite this. We'll just make it 5 feet. I'm going to take one of those feet over here, and I will convert it to inches. So now I have to know how many inches are in a foot. 12. So I'm taking that 1 12 foot and I'm turning it into 12, or more, that 1 12 foot. I'm taking that 1 foot and turning it into 12 inches. Right. So now I've got 12 inches being added to the 5. So that actually makes it 17 inches. Minus 8 inches, right? So 17 inches minus 8 inches, oh, okay, that gives me 9 inches, that works, and then 5 feet minus 4 feet, hey, that gives me 1 foot. So here my final answer is 1 foot 5 inches. So that's how we're going to be regrouping. If you have numbers that are too big for your units, you would kind of do the improper fraction thing and add it on to the bigger unit. If you have smaller units that are too small to subtract, you would regroup, take one from your larger, and convert it into the smaller. That's all there is for that. Now let's go on to multiplying by powers of 10. So, interesting thing, let's say I had to multiply the number 1.2 times 10 to the power of 3. What in the world would that be? Why is my decimal so small that you can't see it? There it is. 1.2 times 10 to the power of 3. What would that be? Well, I can kind of rewrite the number 10 to the power of 3. 10 to the power of 3 is actually what number? That's right, it is 1,000. And what we should have remembered is, hey, if you've got multiple zeros, that's the same as just moving the decimal place to the right 1, 2, 3 spaces, which means that my answer should have been, let's see here, 1, 2, move 1, 2, and 3. The answer should have been 1,200 or 1,200. That's what that equals, right? Now that's a pretty useful thing because we know that the exponent is just going to be the same, and the exponent is going to tell the exponent is going to be the same as the number of zeros in the final version of the number 10. So we can just move our decimal the same number of places as the exponent. See, this was 3, so I moved 1, 2, 3. That gave me my answer. So that's how we can multiply by powers of 10 very, very quickly. Right? So let's say we've got 3.8 2.85 times 10 to the power of 5. How would I do that? Well, I would see, hey, this is 10 to the power of 5, so I move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 385 with 1, 2, 3, 3 zeros behind it. And then let's go ahead and put our comma there, 385,000. That would be the answer there. All right. Last thing, how do I write written numbers in standard notation? So oftentimes you'll hear people say things like $500,000 or $750 million or $2.5 trillion, right? How do we do that? Right? Let's think. How do I write down $250,000? What is that? What is that in numbers? What does $250,000 mean? Well, the way that we're going to do this is really simple. If I have to convert this into a number written in standard notation, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to take the fraction and I'm going to rewrite it as a decimal. So how do I write 1/4 as a decimal? Well, I just divide, right? That's 4 into 1.0. 4 goes into 1, it doesn't. Add the 0 on the decimal place. 4 goes into 10. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract, I've got 2, put the other decimal over the other 0, bring it down. 4 goes into 25 times. We get 20, cancels out. Great. So this is now 0.25. So instead of saying $250,000, it's 0.25 million. Now, the way I'm going to finish writing this is I'm now going to take my decimal and I'm going to multiply it by the place value of 1 million, right? So I'm going to take that and I'm going to multiply it by 1 million, which is, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, a 1 with 6 zeros behind it. So 0.25 times 1 million, or 1 with 6 zeros, means I'm going to move this 6 places, right? So I can write 25 and I move 1, 2, 3, 4, but 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. That means my final answer is 250,000. Right? 250,000. That is $250,000. That's it for this lesson. If you guys have any questions, let me know on the school website, and I will see you in class.